What is up, Fantasy Endgame community? Welcome back. I'm Pierre, he's Chris. We're here to go down the top 12 wide receivers according to early ADP. Now we're going to tell you real simple. Are we in or are we out? Are these guys going where they should be, or is it just too high? We already did this for running back. Check out that video. And if you want to know who our top 12 wide receiver rankings are, you can also watch that video when you're done here. All right, so let's get it started. Pretty obvious who the wide receiver one is. It is Kupp. Is there any reason to be out on him?
Not for me. I mean, maybe he doesn't finish wide receiver one again, but is he going to finish worse than 3 or 4 or 5? Probably not. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, you'll hear stats like, oh, it does, the wide receiver one doesn't repeat, and then regression or whatever. Yeah, he probably won't have another record-breaking season. But who are you really putting over him? I mean, you've got to stay in. The one guy I might have over him is this Justin Jefferson. It's pretty clear there's no reason not to be in on him. Can you think of a reason?
No, all in on Justin Jefferson. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I might put him over Kupp, but to me it's really close. And to me, Kupp and Jefferson are in a tier all by themselves. So definitely in on Jefferson this year.
Hey, that offense with Kevin O'Connell coming over from the Rams, they might even be more pass heavy this year. So we could conceivably see an even better season from Justin Jefferson. Just saying. All right, now what about Jamar Chase? Going to be real interesting. A lot of people might even think he should be the wide receiver 1 or 2. Some people think, well, you know what, maybe those boom games, they skewed his numbers. Maybe he'll regress. What do you see it as far as Jamar Chase at wide receiver 3? In or out?
I'm in, but I'm a little nervous here. I still think Jamar Chase is going to be really good this year. I just don't know if he can be wide receiver 3 good. Right, he's got T. Higgins there. He's got Tyler Boyd there. You got to think the Bengals offense is due for some regression in terms of efficiency. They were insanely efficient last year, and he's probably due for some regression as far as like yards after catch and his touchdown efficiency. But still, there's not really a wide receiver I can take over him here. So a little nervous about it, but I'm still in, and I still think he'll be really good.
I was wondering which way you'd lean on this because I know, guys, if you're in our Discord, if you haven't checked it out, you can join us, by the way. Check out the link below. We discuss all these things, all these stats, talk about how those spike weeks can affect him, how things change first half to second half. And I know you've been kind of hinting that maybe he's going to be overdrafted, but yeah, you're right. I mean, look, just those big monster weeks that he has, I think they more than make up for any of the duds he might put together. And the fact is that no, he wasn't hitting those home runs as frequently at the end of the season, right? Those 70, 80-yard touchdown passes. But then they worked around it. The Bengals adjusted. They found him more underneath, and he's got that yak ability. So yeah, I'm still in on Jamar Chase. All right, number 4 right now is Stefon Diggs, tied to Josh Allen. What's not to love? Are you in or out of him as wide receiver 4?
Yeah, I'm in on him here. Definitely has a nice, safe floor with Josh Allen. Maybe doesn't quite have the upside of those top 3 guys, just because he's not going to score a ton of touchdowns, and he doesn't have those huge yardage weeks. But still, you got to like him. In a great offense, great receiver attached to Josh Allen. I'm in.
I'll tell you, this is the first time I'm kind of out on him, and not that I don't think he's a great receiver, and I would be fine with him as my wide receiver 1, but in the second round, honestly, I think 4 is just too high, because what you're drafting, what are you getting? You're getting floor, and to me, if you're drafting a receiver this early, you want more of a ceiling. He's never been a huge touchdown guy. I don't think that's going to change, right, because of the way that offense runs. Gabe Davis is coming on. This is an offense that's still going to kind of spread the ball around. I just don't think I see him above some of the other guys we're going to talk about. So at this point, I'm a little bit out as far as wide receiver 4. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Davante Adams. Number 5, because, well, he's not in Green Bay anymore. He's going to the Raiders. How will that affect him? Are you in or out on Raider version of Davante Adams?
I'm in at wide receiver 5. If we were still drafting him as wide receiver 1, 2, or 3, I would be out. But I think wide receiver 5 is fair. He's so good, and Derek Carr is good enough, I think, to support Davante Adams as a top 5. Maybe he'll be like top 6 or top 7, but if you're drafting him at wide receiver 5 and he finishes 6 or 7, you're going to be okay with that. So I'm in at this point.
And here's the thing, I'm in for sure because it's not just, oh, he's going to have to deal with a new quarterback, a new system. It's his old quarterback. It's Derek Carr, his college quarterback. He wanted to play there. This is not a guy who was, unhappy and trying to force his way out. He's just really wanted to be a Raider. He wanted to reunite with Derek Carr. This is something that's going to be a good match. And it barely happened, but looking into the numbers, the 8 games in his career where Davante Adams had to play without Aaron Rodgers, his numbers actually didn't take a hit. They were almost the same. He can play with another quarterback, and the fact that it's a guy he's really comfortable with, yeah, I'm definitely in. Actually, I think I'm going to have him probably a lot if I'm missing on those first 3 guys. All right, next up, this actually kind of surprises me that right now, number 6 is CeeDee Lamb. Now, obviously, Amari Cooper being gone would help him, but are you in on him this high?
Yeah, I am. I think this is a fair spot for him. I've been in on every wide receiver so far, I just realized. But yes, I'm in on CeeDee Lamb here. I think the target share should be high enough. Michael Gallup, now there's talk that maybe not even till mid or late September. So he's not really going to be there to take targets. I do like Jalen Tolbert. I do like James Washington, but these aren't high target share guys. So maybe his efficiency will go down a little bit, but I think the target share will more than make up for it. So I'm in on him here.
Gotta say, this is another case where I love the player, but I think he's just being a little overvalued, so I'm out with him this high. I prefer him much lower, like maybe just outside the top 10, honestly. I think that we're going to see the Dallas Cowboy offense not just necessarily pepper Lamb with a ton of targets. I think we're just going to see a more balanced offense. I think they're going to try to get back to running the ball because they have a really good defense now. They don't need to pass the ball a ton, and I think they're figuring that out. So it's just a little too early for me. All right, last year's breakout player, you could argue, is Deebo Samuel. A lot might change this year in that offense with the way Deebo's used and, of course, at quarterback. So how do you feel about Deebo this year, in or out?
I'm out on Deebo. I've changed my tune on him here as the offseason has gone on. Deebo Samuel had the fewest targets of any receiver since 2015 to hit 300-plus fantasy points, but he did it on the back of A, huge yards after catch numbers, and B, 8 rushing touchdowns plus 300-plus rushing yards. Well, he's already said he doesn't want to run the ball anymore, and I don't think his target share is going to be enough to support another elite monster fantasy season. And we have the uncertainty of Trey Lance, who we don't know who he's going to target. We don't know how his target distribution is going to be, and we don't even know how accurate he's going to be. So I got to be out on Deebo Samuel this year.
This one is really tough because I love Deebo so much, but I have to be out too for the reasons you said. I think it's going to be a different offense with Trey Lance running the show, and I think Trey Lance will be fine in fantasy. Love Trey Lance, but I don't think that's going to be as friendly for Deebo. I think they had to use Jimmy Garoppolo the way that he is meant to be used. Some short passes, get the ball in the receiver's hands quickly, and let them do the work. With Trey Lance, he's going to look down the field a little bit more. He's going to see Brandon Ayuk down there a little bit more. George Kittle will be healthy, supposedly. They still have a good running game. Trey Lance can run the ball. I think Deebo's numbers have to go down. And like you said, those touchdowns that he got on the ground, it's not going to happen anymore. So I am out on Deebo. Not completely, just this high. All right, next up we got Mike Evans. That's right, Mike Evans all the way in the top 10 now as far as receivers because, Chris Godwin may not be ready to start the season. And now we just found out Gronk is retiring for now. So locked in as wide receiver 1. You in on Mike Evans?
Yeah, this is way too low for Mike Evans. He has top 5 upside this year as by far the best pass catcher in a Tom Brady offense. I mean, his competition is Russell Gage, Chris Godwin coming off ACL and MCL surgery. Who knows when he's going to be on the field and who knows how effective he's going to be. Mike Evans is primed for a massive season. I'm definitely in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can find a single receiver here who has a safer floor than Mike Evans. It's funny seeing people trying to find reasons to pick apart and why he might not be wide receiver 1. He's going to be it just put it in ink. So I'm definitely in on Mike Evans. All right, now what about Tyreek Hill? Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of different opinions on him. Look, I'm just completely removing my bias from this, but I'll let you go first. Tyreek Hill, I know you've never been a huge fan of his. In Miami, in or out?
I'm out. I don't see how this happens for Tyreek Hill. And I think Tua is a good quarterback, but I don't know if Tua can get the ball to Tyreek Hill the way Tyreek Hill needs the ball. to have those massive games. Like, he never was a huge target, huge reception guy in Kansas City. He was just a huge play guy, right? Huge plays, because Mahomes has that cannon arm. Mahomes can move around, buy time, let the play develop, and then still chuck it 50, 60 yards down the field. Not going to be the case with Tua. I think he'll be okay this year. I don't think he's going to be like a complete bust, but I don't think he's going to be a top 12 wide receiver. I am out.
So my analysis on Hill, it really ties more to the other receivers than it does to Tua. Like, Tua can throw the deep ball, but he's not going to do it as much or as effectively as Mahomes. Like, I think that's pretty safe to say. But he'll still get those deep shots. But look, even toward the end of last year, Tyreek Hill wasn't doing that as much in Kansas City. But what I think is going to play to his strengths in Miami is they're going to do a lot more like what I just mentioned with Deebo Samuel. They're going to get him. They even said this, by the way. It's Mike McDaniel, 49ers former run game coordinator slash offense coordinator, co-coordinator. They're going to get the ball to him at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, slants, quick outs, things to get the ball in his hands and then let him go. And that is going to see, that's going to help him to see actually more receptions, I think, more reception totals. And he can still hit those home runs, but instead of having to run all the way behind the secondary, he's just going to get the ball and then run past them. So I'm in on Tyreek Hill. My only concern is Jalen Waddle being there. There's two guys to share all of that. They're both really good, but I think Tyreek Hill is being fairly valued. All right, what about T. Higgins? How can we have a guy who's the wide receiver 2 on his team be a top 10 receiver? Are you in on T. Higgins this high?
I am, and it's kind of the reason why I'm a little nervous about Jamar Chase, because T. Higgins is also really, really good, and he's entering year 3, which is typically one of the best years for a wide receiver. So I think this is great value for T. Higgins. We know he's got almost as much weekly upside as Jamar Chase. And, in the games they played together, he had similar target numbers to Jamar Chase. He just didn't have the yards and the touchdowns that Chase had. So definitely in on T. Higgins.
Yeah, I'm into, and there are a couple of receivers I would draft over him, including the one we're about to talk about. But generally speaking, agree. Higgins is going to be just fine. I don't think we need to worry about Chase eating into his targets. So I'm in on T. Higgins. All right, now A.J. Brown going to Philadelphia. Going to be very interesting to see what happens there. I know Jalen Hurts is always a controversial figure. People think he can't pass, and then some people think he's ready for a breakout in year 3. How do you think A.J. Brown's going to do, though, in Philly?
I'm out on A.J. Brown. I'm very nervous here. I mean, one thing about Tennessee is, Ryan Tannehill is a capable passer. No, he's not a lead or anything, but he's capable. And he can get the ball to A.J. Brown and let A.J. Brown do his thing. And A.J. Brown had no real other competition for targets. Now he's got real competition with Davante Smith, who is really good in year 1. I don't think the Eagles are going to suddenly be some incredibly pass-heavy team. I just don't know if the target share and the volume is going to be there for A.J. Brown. Yeah, he'll have some nice weeks because that's what A.J. Brown does, but I think he's going to have a lot of weeks where you're really frustrated. So I'm out on A.J. Brown.
All right, well, I'm actually in on A.J. Brown because I think the concerns, you can look at it this way. He's going to a team, they say, well, it's not a pass-heavy offense. Was Tennessee ever? No. All right, so I don't think we're going to see, if anything, Philly might pass the ball more that they have A.J. Brown. And they had to kind of go to that run-heavy mode last year towards the second half where they completely shifted philosophies, but that was more out of necessity, right? And then you talk about quarterback play. Look, I'm fine with Jalen Hurts. I don't think that you can argue it. Ryan Tannehill is really much better than Hurts, if at all, so I'm not worried about that. And I think Brown will do his thing. He's a guy who doesn't need heavy target volume because he does have such great run after catch ability. So I'm in on A.J. Brown, and I would have him actually just ahead of T. Higgins. And then to round out the top 12 here, Keenan Allen, kind of just that solid, steady veteran. How do you feel about him at this point, in or out?
I'm out on Keenan Allen this year. I think it's the first year I've been out on Keenan Allen since forever. Just no real upside here anymore. Last year barely had any 20 PPR point games, and when he did, they were like 20 or 19. Like, he just doesn't have any real ceiling here. Mike Williams came on last year. I think we're going to see Mike Williams come on even more as Herbert is getting better. He's willing to take more shots down the field. He's willing to throw it into tighter windows. I just think Keenan's target share is going to decrease too much, and for a guy who doesn't really score a ton of touchdowns, it doesn't really rack up a lot of yardage, I just don't think it's going to be a great Keenan Allen year. Yeah, he'll have a nice like 14, 15 point floor, but just no ceiling here, so I'm out.
Yeah, he's kind of that boring veteran, right? Who never necessarily carries you, but I'm in still because I like where he's going. It's still a pretty safe play. Look, he's tied to one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. They didn't really add any competition for him. Mike Williams has been there, right? I don't think nothing's going to change there. Gerald Everett doesn't worry me. So you're still going to get the same Keenan Allen that you've gotten. That's a solid top 15 PPR receiver. Is he going to crack the top 10? No, I doubt it. But look, there's some other guys going just after him that to me are just more risky. And, they might have more upside, but I'm fine with Keenan Allen at this point. All right, so those are the top 12 wide receivers. We went through each one, in or out. We did this for running back as well. You want to hear our take on those guys, check out that video. Guys, we're here all off season to help you win. That is our end game. All right, thanks for watching.